What's going on, guys? Fado82 coming at you with not a Rust related video. You are going to see some Rust footage in the background mixed with some Call of Duty footage, but this video is uploaded to talk actually about the stock market, market manipulation, and how really wealthy people are really screwing over average people right now. I understand this video is going to hit, and most of my former Rust subscribers are going to see this video. And all I ask, guys, is that if you have any interest in the stock market, if you have any friends and family who are interested in the stock market, please share this video with them. And it's really about what's being said as opposed to what's on the screen. But I hope you like the footage as well. I had to piece it together pretty quickly. But basically, I'm going to use today a stock that is going to illustrate market manipulation, what's going on here, the impact that it really has on average everyday people like myself, like other people. You might have heard a lot about the GameStop, the GME short squeeze. You know, that's big in the news right now. And that's a super rare confluence of events. That's something that, you know, probably isn't going to happen again in that way. But short selling is something that goes on in the stock market all the time. Basically, it's a simple financial concept that means an asset's being invested in a way that the person investing in it's going to value if it fails, if it falters, if it doesn't do well, which is fine to bet against something. But the problem is it ties in with market manipulation, which is really these big hedge funds, these ultra wealthy people who use large amounts of sums of money that no common person has access to actually make this chain of events happen. So they'll make sort of a falling wedge pattern or some type of a ladder where they, through their own money, make the reality happen, which is that something fails. This is a very difficult, concept with the stock market. It's something that has always been part of the stock market. It is something that is very devious because they will use these hit piece articles to make a stock fall. It happened with GameStop. It happens with just about any stock out there. So it's very much psychological warfare, and at the end of the day, what it causes is average, everyday people to panic sell their shares and give them to these large hedge funds at a cheap price that they're then going to profit from. When they're done squeezing the shit out of the stock, they will still have shares at a low value, so then they'll ride the elevator up if it's a good stock, which many of them are, that they choose to fuck around with. I'm going to talk specifically today about a stock called SOS Limited. This is a stock that I have invested in. It's actually a stock that I haven't lost any money in, even though it's down quite a bit right now. The reason why I didn't lose money on it is I started investing in SOS Limited when it was actually a little over $2 a share. So my position is like $2.80 on the stock. So I'm actually one of the few people who's not losing money on this. And this video is really meant to be a voice for the people, whatever type of voice I may still have left on YouTube, for those common people, which I am a common person, but I'm not losing money, thankfully, on this. But for those people who are, hold strong, because this is psychological warfare. It is normal for this stock to be down. I will explain that in a few moments as to why it's normal to have volatility with a stock like this. It is a phenomenal value. It is not a bad company despite the Hindenburg and other hit pieces that came out last week. And I'm going to get into that. So basically, SOS Limited is a company that is out of China. It gets a lot of hate for that, which is really unfair, guys. Okay, we're supposed to be doing a little better with that in society, be less xenophobic. And this is not a fly-by-night company. One of the claims levied at SOS is that, it's a Chinese company, it's a scam company, and they're going to screw you out of your money, blah, blah, blah. Okay, do you know how many U.S. companies screw us out of our money all the time? And do you know what happens to these U.S. people when they screw us out of our money? Virtually nothing. If anything happens, they go to an ultra lush prison, like a wealthy country club prison, and they laugh all the way to the bank, and they pay back a minimal amount. It's stupid. In China, oftentimes, if a company, is fraudulent, if they lose the Bank of China money, if they cause poor relations with another state or another country, these CEOs of this company are far greater risk than U.S. CEOs. They'll be executed in China. It happens still to this day. I mean, it's more serious over there for them to screw us than it is for our own people, our own neighbors next door to screw us. So keep that in mind. That's what these hedge fund hit pieces often do, is they pull together, you know, some sketchy pictures, which are easy to do, especially in the COVID pandemic. There's lots of things that have closed up. This company owns lots of different buildings, and it's not abnormal to find one, you know, shady looking place with a logo that's still on it, but it's not reflective of the company as a whole. So just be wary of that, guys. I'm going to just talk a little bit about what SOS is, because it's going to tie back in when I'm talking about the market manipulation, and I'm just using this stock as an example. I'm not encouraging anyone to invest in this stock, guys, so please don't go out and do that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm part of the unwashed masses. I don't have a lot of money, but I do well with my investments because I grew up in the stock market. My father was a mechanic, and you know, he invested his money, his pennies wisely, and he taught me how to do it, and he taught me how to ride the waves of the stock market and not give in to the psychological manipulation that's going on right now. And that's really what I'm trying to impart to you guys and to anyone who you think may benefit from this video. So SOS is a holding company. They have many different companies that they have invested in and which are part of SOS. But it's basically a technology solutions company. It does emergency rescue services in China. It focuses on research and development of big data, cloud computing, the Internet of Things. It's involved with blockchain, creating a security system for the upcoming blockchain internet. It's involved in artificial intelligence. And it recently has started to explode because it has moved into crypto mining. They're a company that is opening a crypto factory that is going to be mining over in China. You can look up the articles online. They have entered a hydropower agreement in China to get the hash power to be able to do this. In the future, they have talked about potentially being able to rent out their crypto mining rigs. So just like you can rent game servers for Rust or something else, you could rent a crypto mining machine from this company potentially. They are, without a doubt, in my estimation, doing my due diligence, my own deep dive into the company, the best, lowest value crypto stock that one could invest in right now. Again, I like the technicals on the stock. It looked like a good value stock and was one that I wanted to be involved in. So I invested very early on and secured a very nice position for myself. Other folks, once it started to blow up, you know, bought in when it was higher, $8 a share, $11 a share. It got up to even being almost, I think, $17 a share in the past week. And all those prices, in my mind, are actually fair for the stock. So you'll often hear people talk about FOMO, you know, FOMA, fear of missing out, basically, in the stock market. And they'll say, you know, oh, everybody's stupid who buys when it's rising. But there was no indication that this stock was necessarily going to do anything but go up. It went parabolic twice last week. Within the last week, or maybe last 2 weeks, rather, it went parabolic. And it was a really beautiful stock to be a part of. It still is. But what happened was, there's normal volatility in the stock market to begin with, but there's particular volatility with these small bubbles that are newly developing, like the tech bubble back in the late 90s, or in the 90s in general. But also, this new crypto bubble is very prone to volatility. So it's going to be going up and down whatever crypto stock you invest in. No different with SOS. And that last week happened because on the same day, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Janet Yellen from the U.S. Treasury Department made negative comments towards crypto. There's a lot of anxiety around crypto, so the stocks, all the crypto stocks fell when the market itself was doing poorly because of the bonds and the futures market and all that. So it wasn't abnormal for everything to be low last week, but in particular, these stocks got hit harder than most, the crypto stocks. SOS last week released such wonderful PR articles. It is from their own company, and yes, we should all take that with a grain of salt. PR articles about bringing in top U.S. talent with this company, assist with U.S. relations. They showed pictures of finally hooking up their crypto rigs, which are mining Ethereum and Bitcoin. I believe they're the only large-scale Ethereum mining company currently available, and they might move into other crypto in the future. So they released wonderful PR, but because the market was doing so poorly and there was crypto anxiety, the stock really didn't flourish much because of that. Because the stock was at a low point, sorry guys, my voice just cracked there. I'm a little rusty here. Because the stock was at such a low point, some hit pieces came out to try to bring it down to an even lower point. Again, these places have a vested interest in having something fail when they're short selling it. So you would see on certain days when the stock was trying to rise, if you watched it in real time, you could see the stock trying to break certain barriers. Like $6.50 last week was a big one. It was trying to break that. Every time it would get up there, somebody or someone or some hedge fund would sell off 3,500 shares of the stock to keep a wall there, like an invisible wall, a glass ceiling, whatever you want to call it. So the stock couldn't rise above that point. And no common person has the ability to do that. 3,500 shares is a lot to keep throwing out there. And why wouldn't somebody with 3,500 shares want their shares to grow, right? It doesn't make any sense because the stock was going nowhere but up at that point. The only reason is they had a vested interest in having the stock price fall. Shortly after that was happening, the Hindenburg hit piece comes out. Some other smaller hit pieces had come out earlier on last week. What's funny about these hit pieces is you often hear about them if you look on message boards, like days before they come out. People are aware of them, so that's really interesting. And also, guys, if you're wondering what a hit piece is, basically in the United States, there's nothing illegal or wrong well, there's stuff wrong with it, I think, but there's nothing that's going to really get you in trouble for saying false stories or negative stories against a company. And it's really easy to pick on companies from other countries. It's really grimy, and all companies do it, probably even the companies we like to invest in. There are instances that the internet is ripe with of this. There was some jackass who owned a bunch of hotel chains, and he went on TV and he cried during the COVID pandemic. He cried, he probably put shit in his eyes to make him cry, this reptilian mofo. And after he cried, all the hotel chains plummeted, and this guy was a captain of industry in the hotel industry. He took his $1 billion and he bought up all the stocks. The next 2 weeks they rose, and he profited. So he manipulated the market, and that's what these people do. So just like the jackass, maybe he's the guy throwing 3,500 shares at it every time to create the invisible wall. I don't know. This has always gone on in the stock market, and it's not abnormal. But I think what pisses me off about it right now is that during the pandemic, we're all supposed to be a little bit nicer. Things like the medical industry is being more lax with certain things like HIPAA. Schools are being more lax with the requirements, courts, legal systems. But nope, not the stock market. These assholes can't even let common people right now, make a little bit of money. And common people, trust me right now, don't need money to buy cars or buy fancy things. They need money to stay afloat, because most people, myself included, my family included, were affected greatly by COVID. So yeah, it's maybe a fair thing that you can do in the stock market, or something that's neutral because it's just part of it. But during the time of the pandemic, whoever's doing this, you guys are no better than the people who buy up all the hand sanitizers and all the gloves and all this shit and sell it at a higher price. You're also no better than some rich kid who might buy all the candy down at the corner store and then sell it at a higher price to the kids later on, the poor kids or the common kids, the working class or middle class kids like myself. So, you guys suck, man. And this is what's going on with GameStop. People are making a point with things. And, it's so funny that, all of these big institutions have problems with it, are bringing people before, tribunals and asking them questions about it. But yet it goes on all the time in the stock market. The oppression of the common people, the working class people. So these large organizations, these hedge funds, these ultra billionaires, maybe people like, who I'm not going to name names. I don't know. But, it's disgusting. It's always been this way, guys, ever since you go back through all of history. Ultra wealthy 1%ers have always been effing over common people. like most of us who are listening to this video, if anyone's listening to it. But it's something that is what it is. But if you look at SOS, its fair value is subjective, but it should be close to other crypto mining stocks like Mara, the Marathon Group, Riot Blockchain. Both of these stocks are up, even with the market doing poorly, in the $30 to $40 range. So SOS conservatively, you know, and in some ways potentially could be worth even more than those stocks because it has some really good technicals, some really good fundamentals on the company. But I'm not going to really go into those. You guys, if you're interested, do your own due diligence, do your own deep dive into SOS. But it's worth a hell of a lot more than $4 a share, and it's worth a heck of a lot more than the $6.50 a share that, you know, can't get past this invisible wall from some, you know, hedge funds or rich jackasses who are trying just to make more money off of the common people. You know, guys, it's a situation that I think we all have to, you know, take our own positions on. I was listening to another YouTuber talk about the SOS situation. He said, hey, if I had, you know, millions of dollars, I would do the same thing. Well, again, maybe during normal times, you know, but I think if you do it during the pandemic, there's a special place somewhere for you. You know what I mean? This is not, you know, good stuff, guys. And I just wanted to make this video to bring light to, you know, what's going on. It's not only GameStop, it's other stocks too. SOS is a really great stock, for my opinion, and to have it oppressed by, you know, these corporate oligarchic interests, you know, who just have endless pockets that common people can't compete with. You know, it does take some of the fun out of the stock market. Under normal times, it is what it is, but during the pandemic, you know, when it's survival, it's not right. And I think that this is why, you know, there's all of this animosity towards, you know, institutions right now, and towards, you know, these ultra wealthy people who say one thing but seem to do very little for us. So that's that, guys. You know, I don't really have much more to say about the situation. If you could please share the video on any relevant social media platforms that are related to maybe, you know, finance or stocks. I don't have any more social media accounts, so I would rely on you guys to do that. During my time on YouTube, I never really asked anyone for anything. I never asked for donations, and I was so happy with what I received from the Rust community and from the YouTube community in general. So all I ask now is that if this video resonated with you, that maybe you just share it somewhere. I did just want to take a moment, now that I've talked about that, just to say, you know, that I'm really thankful to have had this run on YouTube. I'm not going to, you know, be coming back to YouTube. I don't have the ability to do that. It took a lot of struggle to just make this video, but I felt as though I needed to get a voice out there for people. But, you know, I really, you know, love all you guys. I hope you're all doing well. I know COVID has been a crazy, crazy time. It has been a crazy time for me and for my family. We did come through it in the end, actually better for it, I think, in a lot of ways. Like everybody, yeah, we ended up with a little debt. Unfortunately, we were out of work through no fault of our own. But we're doing okay, and I hope you guys are doing okay as well. As far as Rust goes, I love this game, guys. This is the best $20 ever spent. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Helk. Thank you to all of the team at Face Punch. Thank you to all of the Rust community. You guys keep me going. When I'm not playing Rust, I watch Rust videos. I can't believe how far Rust YouTubers have come. Skills that far surpass the ones that I had. And it's brilliant to be able to watch all my old Rust friends. Also, you know, the game has developed and flourished in ways that are unbelievable. It is such a beautiful game. It has such a sleek UI. I love how it plays. It's buttery smooth. And every time I try another survival game, I just have this kind of like inner voice, like, it's not Rust, it's not Rust, but it just does, they don't play as well as Rust. For me, it is really probably the best game, the best investment. Talking about investments, the best investment I ever made in a computer game. I'm so happy to hear it's coming to consoles, and we're going to have a lot of other Rust brothers and sisters coming over. You know, that's going to be a wild time, guys. You know, it's going to be a fun time. As far as what I do in Rust right now, I play at least 2 weekends a month. I play on a very, very small server, a solo server. That's the footage that was in this video, was just me getting a little base going on the weekend. You know, I call it my Gary Dad Bod server because, you know, I'm an older guy, not older, in my 30s, but you know, an older maybe gamer in some respects, and because of my life, because of my family obligations, because of my financial situation, I have to, you know, work a lot, so I can't really do a lot in Rust that would benefit a group. So I plan a real small, low pop server with a bunch of other dad bod type guys, and we just have fun. You know, we just bring it. We compare. You know, I'm not going to go into the, you know, junk stuff, but you know, we like to. It's like Lord of the Flies, man. You know, we have a little server and we just have a good time with it. And every time Rust does an update, you know, I don't make content anymore, but I'm still just as giddy and happy to jump into the game and experience it every step of the way. I did think about rising back from the dead for one video during the past couple years. It was when GameStop put out their little hit piece on Rust, talking about hit pieces, right? It's coming full circle. They called Rust, I don't know, they gave it some absurd score, like a 6. Dude, I was so offended, man. I almost hooked all my stuff up again, my microphone, my, you know, my recording equipment, just to, like, I was offended. It was like they called my girlfriend a 6 and I thought she was a 10. I was so, you know, I was pissed, guys, you know. But thankfully, Rust community picked it up. We had Winter, Vertigo, all my old Rust friends, you know, they came out there with some good videos and said, you know, well, fuck you guys. You guys are full of shit. Because Rust is a beautiful game, has a sleek-ass UI. No other survival game has, in my mind, been able to do a lot of things that Rust does as well as it does, particularly the PvP and the base building. So that's that, guys. Other than Rust, the games that I'm really into right now are Call of Duty. I'm a big Call of Duty fan. I always have been. I'm also playing RimWorld and Kenshi. RimWorld, Kenshi, Rust, and Call of Duty are pretty much where it's at right now for me. So once again, guys, I hope you're doing well. Please don't take this video as any advice to invest in SOS. If you're interested in the stock market, do your own due diligence. Don't listen to anyone, myself included. But the message to take from this video is about the market manipulation, just bringing light to it that it's on other stocks as well. Stocks like SOS will, in the end, break through the wall that the market had, that these hedge funds have created eventually. And don't panic sell your shares, because you're going to lose out. You're going to give these fat cats some cheap shares that they're then going to profit off of. And it's just not worth it, guys. Hold strong. Don't be a diamond hands to the moon meme trader, because that's not the way to do it. I mean, if you can take profits, take profits. But when you have a stock that is as undervalued as SOS is in comparison to Mara, to Riot Group, you know, SOS has just hooked up 10,000 crypto mining rigs. So think about that. You know, it's something that is, you have to think of the stock market as a psychological game. And I'm really happy to be able to pass on some of the advice that my father passed on to me just to you guys in this video, which again isn't really anything too profound, but just understanding you don't need to be a statistician to understand the stock market. You don't need to be a financial advisor or expert. You just need to understand there's some really fucked up forces out there, some dark reptilian forces perhaps. I don't know. You know, they say don't believe in conspiracy theories, but how can people be this evil, right, during a pandemic? You know, they're really oppressing people. And think what you will of it, but, you know, it's a long game with a lot of these stocks, longer than the short term. So with the waves of the stock market, your boat will rise higher if you hold strong, but don't give them a loss and don't give them a cheap share. All right, guys, I love you all a lot. Fado82, peace.